when Senator Elizabeth Warren accused Senator Bernie Sanders of saying a woman could not be president. Sanders insists Warren was lying about that. Well, now Warren is accusing Mayor Mike Bloomberg of peddling racial demagoguery.
Michael Bloomberg is saying, in effect, that the 2008 financial crash was caused because the banks weren't permitted to discriminate against black and brown people. That crisis would not have been averted if the banks had been able to be bigger racists. And anyone who thinks that should not be the leader of our party.
How will that criticism be received? Well, for tonight's 2020 election alert, let's bring in former Sanders national staffer Tezlyn Figaro, Democratic strategist Kevin Walling, and former assistant to President George W. Bush, Brad Blakeman. Welcome to you all. Thank you for spending your Valentine's evening with us.
Hey, Shannon. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, Shannon.
You too. Okay, so Jonathan Weston, who is a Warren ally, executive director of New York Communities for Change, says this about when she goes on the attack. It says every time she's tried to go out there and be more aggressive and really push the envelope in terms of policy and other candidates, there's been a sharp rebuke from the press and the public against her. There very obviously is a sexism factor on how she's able to go on the attack. Tezlyn, you think that's true of female candidates these days?
I mean, it may be, but my issue with Senator Warren is I was really cheering her on early on in the race. You know, the bottom line is Michael Bloomberg isn't even on the ballot in Nevada. He's certainly not on the ballot in South Carolina, and I am absolutely here for betting his record. I think his terrible record certainly needs to be talked about. But I feel like, you know, all of the candidates this week have talked more about Bloomberg and his policies instead of what they're actually going to do to fix it. I think this is an easy cop-out. Let's just give a reminder to everyone, since Senator Warren reminded Bloomberg, let me remind her that the crime bill that Joe Biden signed, as well as Senator Bernie Sanders, locked up a hell of a lot more people than Stop and Frisk ever did. So again, I'm not here to be a surrogate for Bloomberg. I think he will certainly have his time to be vetted, but I think that a lot of the candidates are spending a lot of time, you know, focusing on him instead of what they're actually going to do to fix it. If it was so easy to buy an election, why is Tom Steyer losing and why is Bernie Sanders winning? The bottom line is Senator Warren dropped the ball after her debate in October, and she hasn't been able to rebound because she's played the high role and has avoided attacking Senator Sanders, Joe Biden, and everyone else. And now she feels, well, this is just the default. Let me just pick on the billionaire, which is easy to do, but it just makes no sense because Michael Bloomberg hasn't mentioned them one time. So it just makes no sense at all to me, Shannon.
Yeah, and you know, Tezlyn, I mean, he's skipping a lot of the early stuff and going straight for Super Tuesday, and this might be something that has them concerned. This new poll out of Florida, this is likely Democratic primary voters by the St. Pete Polls Group. Right now they have in first place there Michael Bloomberg at 27%, followed by Joe Biden. Then a chunk of people say they're simply undecided. Then Pete Buttigieg, Sanders, Klobuchar, Warren, and Tom Steyer. You know, Kevin, I got to think that some in the Democratic field see these numbers and think, I got to go after Bloomberg.
Absolutely, and we know from history that Senator Warren is best when she has a foil in this race. It somewhat backfired, of course, on the debate stage with Senator Sanders, but she's been railing against Wall Street and the billionaire class for a long time, and that's red meat to the liberal left, right? You know, when you're pitching yourself in these class battles, that is something that is really appealing to progressives in that primary. She had a really terrible showing, obviously, in Iowa, a tough showing in New Hampshire, her border state. That was going to be a place that she was going to be much more popular. And now heading into Nevada and into South Carolina, she's into single digits. So she needs to turn this campaign around. I think attacking Mike Bloomberg is her path forward.
Okay. In the meantime, NBC News is reporting this. Bernie Sanders is now the front runner, and the moderates may be too divided to stop him. They have reason to be concerned. Sanders is consolidating self-identified liberal voters, while moderate and conservative Democrats are split. I mean, Brad, what do they do here? Because you're hearing the whispers. Chad Pergram reported on this last night. Down ballot Democrats are very worried about Bernie ending up at the top of the ballot, but there's speculation that the rest of the folks, the moderates and others, can't get it together, and they can't stop Bernie.
You bet. And this is absolutely the converse of what happened with Donald Trump. When Donald Trump ran, it was the establishment of the Republican Party who didn't want Trump, but the grassroots wanted Trump. Now, with Bloomberg, you have the elites of the party wanting Bloomberg and not a more progressive candidate, and no grassroots for Bloomberg. And then you have the culinary a union who decides not to endorse anybody. Why? Is because they fear a more progressive candidate will take away their ability to bargain for health care, since that would be government controlled. So the whole world's turned upside down with Democrats. They don't know who they are, what they stand for, and what they're going to get at the convention.
All right, I want to play a little something that confronted former Vice President Joe Biden. I believe he was coming out of a fundraiser. Take a listen to the chants he got.
Drop out Joe! Drop out Joe! Skip Nevada! Skip South Carolina! Just go home early!
Okay, drop out Joe. I want to give you each a chance to respond to that. Do you think there's any chance he comes roaring back in Nevada or South Carolina? He's pledged to do so. Tezlyn, we'll start with you quickly. We'll move down the line.
But, you know, we'll see. I think he'll do strong in South Carolina. But again, Bloomberg and Tom Steyer, let's not forget Tom Steyer is actually leading in South Carolina. So I think he's a dark horse that people should probably pay attention to as well.
Kevin, what do you think? I mean, there are a lot of people saying don't count him out just yet. We've all covered primaries and seen amazing things happen. He feels like he's got a bit of a firewall down south.
Yeah, I think this is the time for the vice president to shine. Of course, as you know, he's heading into Nevada. I think he's going to have a good night on Wednesday, which is the next debate. Hopefully, Mike Bloomberg makes that debate stage to take the fight to him. Of course, those Nevada caucuses on Saturday. And, of course, then his firewall is South Carolina just the following week. And that's just 3 days before Super Tuesday, when a third of our delegates are up for grabs. And that's a good news cycle heading out of South Carolina into those states. So I think he's going to do very well.
All right, Brad, I want to get your take on Biden and also the debate this week. And listen, the Democrats the rest of them are quietly itching for Bloomberg to get up there so they can finally lay a glove on him.
Well, I think with regard to Biden, his party has passed him by a long time ago. Joe Biden is not a progressive Democrat, and he doesn't fit the mold of a socialist Democrat, which seems to be the flavor of the month for Democrats. Now, with regard to the debate, they better be gunning for Mike Bloomberg, because you can't let him just show up and not have to face the music. The fact that Warren does not attack Biden and is attacking Bloomberg tells you everything you need to know about who they think the threat is.
Pop the popcorn on Wednesday nights.
Yep.
In the meantime,
Must-see TV.
Brad, Kevin, and Tezlyn, always great to have you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you.
All right, Michael Avenatti convicted on all counts today, but he's got other charges and trials still looming. How much time he's facing behind bars? Next.